This is a first time experiment. We're having Seth drive the car with his blindfold on. Keep in mind that he has
I have a driver's license. And my car's not very high performance.
It's not a high performance vehicle, no.
So it's very squeaky.
It's very squeaky. So he's got a few obstacles he's got to drive around. It's not the easiest thing to do when you can't see a great deal. He's got a small window that he's looking through because of the opening of his sight.
Hello, my friends from all over the world and also from another universes, even from Milky Way. For first time, we have that special guest again from Australia, this Leonie Appelt. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing correctly.
It's fine.
I scheduled this meeting with her because she's going to tell us something very interesting about some of this, I don't know if I can say superpower ability, but looks like everybody can develop this ability to, especially with people who, for some reason, they lost the vision, or maybe 50% they lost of that vision. There's a chance for them to develop different skills, to be able to see, to read, even to drive a car. So welcome, Leonie. How is Australia today?
Well, we're supposed to be in the middle of winter, but it's hot.
Oh,
it's very hot.
Winter?
I don't think we're going to get much of a winter this year.
Usually, you don't have a snow, I believe.
No, we're in Queensland. So no, what does it say? What do they say? Sunny one day, fine the next. So it's usually sunny or it's flood or drought. You know, this is Australia. So yeah. But yeah, no, it's beautiful at the moment. Yeah.
Our audience, they don't know anything about you. Can you tell us first how that started with you? How you came to this idea to do this experiment with blindfolds?
Oh, that's a long story. Ever since I was little, I experienced high strangeness and phenomenon, and I knew there was more to this world than the eyes could see, because I would experience spirit. I would experience my whole family, pretty much. We'd have orbs in the house, and all that throughout all of our experiences, we wanted to know more. So as a family, we explored that even more. And I had my own children, and they were having different experiences and psychic connections, and we were all connecting, reading each other's minds, which a lot of people do, but they just don't talk about it, especially if they've got little children. They're constantly reading your mind. And so many mothers I talk to, when they've got really small children, they say, oh, they know what I'm thinking. They answer me before I speak, you know. But which is a little bit scary. But yeah, I've grown up with phenomenon. So to me, Mary Rodwell actually introduced this to me through her connections, and she said, would I like to explore that? And she held the course from a lady, came from Canada, and we attended a course, a weekend or 4 days, 5 days course. And I wanted to train my grandchildren specifically because they were having all this high strangeness happening around them, and it was a little bit overwhelming for them, and there wasn't a lot of understanding. So I thought if I approached it from this angle, they would understand more about what they're experiencing. When I first started working with my grandson, even though I'd done the course, and this is for everybody to know, everyone should be very suspicious of this sort of work, because there is a lot of fakery out there. But I knew, obviously, because they were my grandchildren, that they weren't doing that. And I had faith in the teacher and the people that were doing this work. But for me, I've got a very skeptical, intuitive mind. I'm always looking to debunk things before I really take it on as information. And it honestly wasn't until I'd been training my grandson and I've been observing, and I could see the results of that, and they were seeing without their eyes very quickly, and reading and riding bikes and doing all sorts of things. And one day I said to my grandson, how about we put some bandages on your eyes, the blindfold, and a scarf? And I took him outside. He said, yes, I can still see. And I took him outside, and his father had been working in the shed, and he walked towards us, and he had a big welding mask on. And I said, what do you see now? And he goes, oh, here comes Dad. He's got a mask on his face. So to me, okay.
Success.
I knew it sounds silly because I'd already been training, but there was always some questioning around the whole process. And ever since, I will train children, and I will train children with their parents, and I will, as soon as they're activated and they start seeing through the blindfold, we'll put bandages on their eyes, we'll put the blindfold on, we'll have them straight away seeing and reading things from behind. So there's no doubt. So then they can go home and train with their parents, and their parents aren't questioning, are they peeking? Because they're seeing from here.
Yeah.
Like they're seeing behind, they're seeing through their energy, their finer energy field. So they can see everywhere.
How many generations back they have this ability in your family?
Oh, my mother's mother, and maybe before, I'm not sure, but my mother would always talk about how my grandmother was very superstitious, and she would leave things out in the garden for the fairies, but she would have phenomenon happen around her too.
All of them, they've been born in Australia, or you moved from UK, or?
Yeah. No, all born in Australia, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's a generational thing.
And everybody, all these generations, they have some kind of different kind of ability.
My mother's a very good remote viewer, and she's had contact experiences, and she's seen spirit all of her life, and she still does. It's very interesting, the conversations we have with it. We all live together, so we have very interesting conversations. 85.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good health.
My dad just did a dowsing workshop, connecting with the energies, earth energies, and like he's 85. So I've just grown up with it was a wonderful childhood with a very open-minded parents.
So it looks like you don't supposed to talk each other, you just know what you're thinking.
Yeah, we just know. We do know. We have a link. We had a visible link, because we pay attention to our information.
Yeah.
And we might get a sense, and we know who it's attached to, and we'll contact one of the family members and say what's going on, and they'll say something's happening. But we're all very aware of our abilities. Yeah. That's all. A very long answer. Sorry.
It's fascinating. It's just, I mean, yeah.
Look, it's so normal now with these children, teaching these children. I teach at a small homeschool. There's about 25 kids.
Yeah.
And it's so normal to children. I will open up their sight through certain exercises, and they'll start seeing and reading a book half the time in about 15 minutes. And I'm going, oh, this is amazing every time. And they're going, oh yeah, big deal. I know what I can do this, big deal,
Have you ever think about how all this stuff started or happening? What is the source of all this information you're receiving to have this ability? Maybe something is teaching you how to do all this stuff.
Oh yes, definitely. I get downloads all the time because I've requested information because every child is different, and they'll be booked in for a session for a certain time. I'll ask for information for that particular child, and it'll literally be the night before or the morning before they come. I get a lesson plan given to me specifically for that child to open them up more with remote viewing or telekinesis or something like that. You know, it's a channeled process the whole way. And I'm building on my skill set because of that. It's just a beautiful experience. I love it.
Do you know who you're communicating with?
I've always had a sense.
How you can call that source?
Well, yeah, it's just so familiar and so normal to me. I've never put a real face to it. I know the ET connection I have the strongest link to is the hive mind of the Arcturians, and that's who I've had around the home for months. But it comes from other sources as well. I know I work with their guides. I work with my own guides. I work with permissions and things like that. And I always know when that some kids might be coming because their parents want them to come, but they don't necessarily want to be here, because, you know, they want them to have superpowers. But we don't address it as a superpower either. It's just a normal ability we've all forgotten how to use. And a lot of the children that I'm seeing have had contact experiences, a lot of them. And I know, like myself, when I was younger and I was on the ships, we were being taught things. And I know they're being taught things like moving objects and like doing exactly this. So I feel like I'm grounding those abilities that they're being taught elsewhere anyway.
You've been physically in the spaceship or just with your consciousness?
Both.
Both.
Both. Yes.
How, I'm sorry that I'm asking all these questions, but I believe that will be very interesting for the audience and for me, of course, also.
Yeah.
How eventually your vibration of your consciousness, or I don't know how to say that, probably is almost or maybe the same level of vibration of these spaceships. And is there any passengers in these spaceships, or they was empty when you go?
I can only speak for myself. A lot of the children talk about orbs coming into their room and being taken and being shown different things with other children, the craft. I had those experiences when I was a child, and I was shown potential outcomes of the planet, and you know, about us destroying ourselves. But and I've heard that from so many experiences since, so many. And I was with groups of children, and we were being taught to move things with our mind and so forth. And my grandchildren, more than my children, my grandchildren were having those same experiences. They were talking about my granddaughter would talk about being taken up through the roof into the black hole by the big mozzies, and we call mosquitoes mozzies. So she was talking about mantids, and she said they take me with the other kids and they teach us things. So they were having all those experiences as well.
Maybe they're preparing for something for the future.
Oh yes, I feel that. Yes, definitely.
Looks like your area in Australia, you have a lot of activities. Like UFO, and not only that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Is there any history for your area?
We've only been in this specific area for only 4 years. I can generalize. It's just everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think we notice it because we're always looking for it too. Like I've got the camera outside and I'm always looking. And so many people wouldn't even see because they're just not looking. It's always there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Only one time I saw something very strange with my nephew, where he was with me in my car. And that happened in Utah, and driving from Nevada to Utah. and the first city in Utah is St. George. I don't know, probably you're not familiar, but anyway, I'm driving and also watching the sky.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful blue sky. I pay attention, of course, on the road.
Of course.
I saw a small cloud, very small cloud in the blue sky, no any other clouds. And I said, small cloud. Continue driving, and this cloud disappeared. And I said, because the air is moving and just gone. But after, I don't know how, maybe 20 seconds or maybe a minute, I saw the same cloud, small cloud in the sky. And I said, no, that is impossible. I mean, it's completely impossible. Any law of physics.
Yes.
And
yes.
then that not was any more cloud, was very interesting object with something between square and circle. And this side was white, like a cotton white, like that white. And it's moving like this. And inside was a lot of white dots.
Oh, yes.
And so this is rotating. The dots, they're not moving. They're just sitting in. And that is moving and then disappear and then shrink again, disappear again, shrink again. And that was amazing. I never saw video of if that was a UFO or I don't know what was, but definitely it's not human.
Yeah, they're very sneaky. They're very sneaky. Do you think they might have been playing with you? I wonder about that sometimes because they know that you're observing with the, observing
Yeah, I mean,
them.
I would love to do something more closer, close encounter.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say that. I've had a few sightings that I used to be part of a CE5 group. We used to go out and we saw all sorts of things connected with the phenomenon.
Mhm.
And like everyone else, when there was something really extreme happening, nobody picked up a camera. We're all like, and nobody. We had them hanging around our neck, but we didn't go like this. We just watching. But that happens a lot, and I'm pretty sure we're being manipulated on that level so that we don't.
Uh-huh.
We sort of don't, and we need permission. I always ask permission to film.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So
and a lot of the time it'll happen. Yeah.
Sometimes they give you permission.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Nice. So what do you think about these visitors in these spaceships? Why they coming here and where from they coming here? Do you know what is the mission of them?
I had experiences when I was a child, and I had experiences with the Greys, and it was always, I've never had one negative experience. It was always a pleasurable experience. I had a healing from light beings surrounding my bed. I've had, there's a lot to talk about, but never negative, always benevolent, always a pleasant experience. And to me, they're only here to help and to help guide. Like everyone says, I don't think they're interfering, but they're ready to help if we need it, if I can say it that way, on certain levels. And if it's not approached in a fearful way, and we're not putting it out there and consciously connecting in a fearful way, that's not what we're going to get back. So we'll get, love and connectiveness with that phenomenon. That's what I had. And I've got a lot of orbs shots and things like that I'm constantly taking. But yeah, it's a big question. I don't have all the answers, but I just know for me, It's been and my kids, it's been a positive experience.
Just happening with everybody around you.
Yeah.
It's something casual.
Yeah. It's very normal. It's very normal in our family.
Yeah.
My mum will say, there was last night, she said, I was going to come and get you so you could see there's lots of lights around the window. They were very small. They're all different colors. And then the next night she'd see an entity walk past the window that was hunched over. And I said, well, were you frightened? And she goes, no, not really. I had to laugh because it's funny.
They're choosing probably with who they would like to make connection, to talk, not to talk, but to make connection, to teach somebody, like in this case your family.
Yes, yeah, and a lot of other people.
Yeah,
I don't want to be
yeah,
special.
of course. Yeah,
yeah.
but
But
you,
the interaction. Sorry.
no, I'm sorry, but you're one of this. Oh,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, you're very lucky to have all this experience, because for most of the people in this planet, all this stuff, they still stigma. They don't believe, or they said, maybe it's possible. I spoke with two very interesting people from Russia, and the man, Nikolai Denisov, he said everything is possible.
Yes.
Just we need to open
Yes.
our mind and to practicing stuff, and we can develop
Yes.
all these abilities, because all of us, we have that. Just need to open it.
Yes. That's Nikolai and Marina.
Oh, you know them.
Is it? I know them through Wendy and Rob. Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, talking about him.
Yeah. And that's why I love, in particular, working with children, because they don't know they can't do it because you just tell them they can do it, so they just do it, and they're very open. They're still open. Their minds are still open, and they just absorb so much information at such a young age.
Probably it's easier with young people to do this instead. I said probably it's more easier with young people to do that.
Oh yes, but I have noticed once the adults, like the parents, experience their child opening, and then I do a session with the parent with the child in the room, they themselves open up a little more, and they might start by remote viewing whatever they're seeing, but they're still having a similar experience to the child, so they can relate to what's happening with the child and how they're pulling in the information. And with some parents, that's motivated them to go a little bit further with it. But it is a lot of practice. It's a lot of practice to open up properly. And I'm only partially open. I'm not as disciplined as Miss Wendy Gallant.
Yeah,
she's amazing. She's amazing with her site. And she's very motivated. She's really motivated with this work, and she's helping a lot of people.
She is. I just met her maybe a month or 2 months ago. I was in Detroit, Michigan, and we live very close to the border. So I went there for one day with her.
Yes, she said, she did mention that. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. She's
cool.
motivated to teach adults and help the blind, as is Rob Freeman. He's helping the blind people.
So
and that's how it started. Yeah.
Yeah, you said it's very easy to start this, but actually, can you tell us just a little bit what, first of all, we have to do to make this grand opening just in the beginning?
Well, what's a big question? Well, what I say to people is to forget everything you've ever learned.
Okay.
Just allow the information to come in. Like many people have said, you just treat it like watching TV. You don't have to know how the TV works or how it was built to observe the movie that you're watching. So it's being in a state of absolute surrender and release, and releasing control. So as adults, we've learned how to control our environment. So it's a natural thing to want to do that, whatever you do, and question. So it's really difficult to doubt and question. I'm getting a cup of tea.
Yeah, you can,
Oh,
yeah,
I
you
was
can
thinking,
drink, you can take it, that, it's okay.
that's okay.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah,
we're just
it's really
talking.
difficult. It's difficult to let all that go. And I can say that firsthand myself. I mean, I have partial sight. I can see, but not as well as the children at all. And it'll come and go at times. But that discipline of just releasing all thought and questions and just allowing the information to come in is a tough one. But I know my grandson, he explained how he was seeing. He said he would pop out the top of his body, and that's how he would see. So that was interesting to me. It's like they're almost connecting to the astral self, and they're able to do that, to just step out and look through the finer levels of the energy system. And then they can turn it on and they can turn it off. Because I did ask them at one stage, I said, how, when you're playing hide and go seek with your friends, you'd be cheating. And he said, no, I can turn it off. And I've heard that since, and I've experienced that since.
You're
With a
talking
lot of
about
children.
out-of-body experience or astral projection?
Yeah, well, that's just was his explanation on how he was able to see. He said he would pop up out of his body and then come back in.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Lucky him.
lucky him. But I think all kids can do that because they're still got that going on. Whereas adults, we're extremely grounded in 3D because we have to be to survive. And a lot of adults will start to open up if they've got the mask on. Their peripheral will start to open up, and they'll start to see information from these areas, whereas the children will open up, connected to the right brain area.
For me, sounds something like a 360-degree vision.
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah. But they bring it into a dominant space because they can't. It's too difficult to be everywhere at once. So you direct them to a specific area so the brain can cope with the information, and it pinholes the information. I think was explained to me, I think Wendy did, explain to me that, and it could have been through Marina and Nikolai, I'm not sure, that the brain will isolate the information because there's too much information and it's seeing this in this new form. So it's like a beam that you're experiencing the information through. And I know my sense is, as you get older, in general, your vision expands because your world gets bigger. And as adults, we need to be very aware of all of our surroundings, so our peripheral is enhanced. And it's interesting to me that most adults, when I do give them a short session, they'll start seeing colours from the peripheral more than anywhere else or behind. And the kids can see through their feet on top of their head anywhere.
That was really good.
Like those fisheye GoPros, and it's like really close here, but then it's got a real weird depth reception. It went like that when I was turning around over there.
So it shifted?
Yeah. So I couldn't tell if there was a tree like right in front of me or really far away from me.
It was a good exercise though, wasn't it? To see. Good job, mate.
When I met Wendy in Canada, we done some experiments for me with blindfold.
Yeah.
I was able to recognize only 2 colors.
What color is that one?
Bright.
Move it around your head. First impressions, exactly. Okay, I have another one here. I've got you have it. Go here. Go here. What color do you see? What color do you see?
Blue.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent.
But also was very interesting that when I was with blindfold, I haven't seen anything, but I saw shadows of moving of the paper in front of me.
Yes, like a silhouette.
Yeah, like a, yeah,
Did you see your hands? Did you see your hands moving in front of the mask?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's practically everyone will see their hands. They'll go, oh, I can't see them, but I can see them moving in front of the mask like a
Yeah.
silhouette.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's how it starts. Well, you're a good candidate. You should be practicing.
Yeah, I have to practice more of that. Everything is about practicing.
Yes, it is. Everything is about practice. Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
Marina, when I talk with Marina and Nikolai, one of my interviews with them, I said, but how it's possible for people who lost the vision, or maybe they had some 50% or 20% only ability to see. And she said, we're not fixing the eyes. We're opening the channels,
Yeah.
different channels for reception of the um, everything around us.
Yes, yes. Yep.
So basically, I personally, I have friends, probably 5. They're from one family. They have some kind of genetic issue with everybody. Um, Step by step became blind, even when when they're in the like age of 70, they became completely blind. And I believe they can develop these abilities to see the world by different way.
Yeah. Well, we know that we've been told that when people go blind or they're experiencing diminishing sight, their other senses are more enhanced in general, like their other sort of 4 senses are enhanced. So other finer senses will become more enhanced as well.
Uh-huh.
And that, because it's a matter of survival, isn't it? Knowing and being aware. But yes, it's still, I haven't got all the answers. I just know what I observe and what I'm in awe of. And some children start seeing through their parents' eyes. Like I've had a few children that their parents have been here and their parents have been somewhere in another room, and they'll be practicing for themselves with the blindfold on. And the child will start giving me information, and it's not until I realise that they're seeing what the parent's looking at that I can see that they're seeing through the parents' energy field, because they
Oh,
have that strong connection. That's their parent, so the energy is connected. There's a strong connection. So
yeah.
they're watching. I mean, I say eyes. I shouldn't say eyes, but they're witnessing what they're looking at and not what I'm asking them to look at.
Yeah,
That was fascinating to me. Yeah,
yeah, it
it's
is.
amazing.
Mm.
You
Do,
can send it anywhere.
do you believe that this is the new generation who is going to rule the planet Earth, like a Star Seeds kids?
Uh yeah, I know there's a lot of people talking about that in the UFO field and other fields, that they're more enhanced, they have more senses. I work with a lot of autistic kids, and I say autistic because that's the name that it's known by, and it's seen as a dysfunction, but it's not. I know it isn't,
Yeah.
but because they have really heightened senses, heightened senses, so they're oversensitive to this world. That's why they find it difficult to be here. So
Mm-hmm.
their hearing range and things like that has been way above normal, and other abilities as well. But yeah, I feel, and I know within my own family, from generation to generation, we've been booted up. It's like there's been that the past generation where we've had certain things happen around us, certain abilities, and my grandmother, and then my mother, and then myself, and then my children, and then my grandchildren are having way more, and I'm way more sensitive than we are. So it's evolving that way in our family. So I assume it's across the board. It's happening anyway.
Yeah.
We have to, don't we? We have to do that. We
Yeah.
have to get better. And I think too, because they're expanding their consciousness more and they're more aware and they're more sensitive, it's bringing us more in as a collective. So we're very aware empathically about the people and the animals and the plants around us. So we have that heightened sensitivity, which creates a stronger connection to the hive mind, I guess. So we're just more aware of what other plants and beings are experiencing. So we empathize. So there's less of a division on the planet. Well, I hope that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that's the case. That's what's evolving. We're becoming more of a collective and stopping that separation.
Some scientists and researchers believe that all disability, because the last 10, 20 years, 10 years, people from all over the world, they observing this white things, UFOs or whatever they are. And not only that, but many, like the human beings, they start awakening with raising by some natural way, maybe the consciousness. Also, people talking about upgrading the DNA.
Yeah.
And this is that happening exactly in front of us. And maybe we have to talk more about this. And also, you said the first step to be more sensitive and to see is to calm down, avoid any noises around us. And that was very interesting to say, forget everything you know.
Yeah.
I like this. Everything they told you. And actually, yeah, that means,
Yeah, to allow the new information to come in, because if the bucket's full, there's no room for any more water, is there?
uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I believe that everything is possible, but no, I don't have any doubts about this. Just I'm curious how exactly in these days your grandkids or your kids, they able to practicing telekinesis.
Well, it's to me, it's all the same thing. All these abilities come from the same place. And it's still about releasing control and allowing the energies to flow through with intention. And I do that with the children. Everything I do with the children in particular, I let them experience, we experience telekinesis and telepathy and all sorts of these abilities, so that they can witness it for themselves. If they see that they have that control and they're able to do this with their physical eyes, even they can see it happening in front of them, they become even more aware of their own consciousness and their own abilities. And they're not in a classroom being told that this is what they can do. They're experiencing it for themselves. So, I've lost what I was going to say.
When you're talking about telekinesis, what kind of objects
Well,
possible to be moved?
we do the psi wheel with the foil. I think you said you saw my, yeah, we under a glass dome.
Yeah, I know that.
So there's no influence from. So initially, we do it from close contact, but then we do it from the other side of the room, and they have the foil move around in a cylinder that's a few meters away from them, so that they can experience their own energy that way.
Mm-hmm.
And we do other exercises, lots of other different exercises where we're moving energy with each other, with dowsing and asking questions, and using, we use rods, or we start using our own body to find objects around us, and just building that sensitivity up to the point where they acknowledge that it's actually happening, and they witness it for themselves. I guess it's all gameplay, simple gameplay, and they don't. Once they start doing all this, especially once they start seeing 360 vision, anything else is possible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Once you can do that, you can do anything.
Right. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is so interesting, and people just years ago I was in Massachusetts in the US, and I was able to meet with the Supreme Witch of Massachusetts, Lady Cobot, and I asked her how I mean, she's a real witch,
Yeah.
I mean, good witch. And I asked her how actually all this stuff happening, the magic. She said, you have to believe.
Yeah, it's intention. Everything's intention. You have to believe. You
Yeah.
have to know. It's a knowing, that it's real.
Yes.
But the way you make somebody believe is for them to experience it firsthand. It's like the UFO field. Unless you've had a personal experience yourself, it's difficult to understand. You've got to experience these things personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you see the UFO, how you feel in that moment? Emotionally.
Usually very stable, there's no fear. But usually there's a frequency of vibration running, like electricity running through my body, myself. And so I know they're around when I'm full of like all this current. I can feel it. So I know that there's something about, and I'll go outside. And not every time will I see something. But there's been a few times that I've actually witnessed it, and I've usually got a camera in my hand these days, so I can film.
I believe you can make a difference between the extraterrestrials and paranormal, because there's a different entities is around us, and sometimes people cannot recognize what is extraterrestrial and what is being coming from another dimension or something paranormal, and they just put the label aliens.
Yeah, well, I think it's all the same thing. We used to have ports appearing in our home growing up. We used to have objects being moved around the house. We have like solid objects being moved around the house, and it's usually with humor too. It was usually we had you put your car keys down right next to you, and you turn around to pick them up, and they'd be gone. And
Actually,
then
something
they'd
happened.
be with the eggs in the freezer.
Something happened like that with me. Let me tell you, I was in Starbucks for taking something, and I was there with my laptop, and I purchased cookie, coffee, bottled water, and I put this in my table because I have to do something with my laptop. And I said, oh, I'm thirsty. I want to drink water. And my water just not there anymore. In the table, no water. And I start thinking, I said, maybe I forgot to take, I start looking for some reasons. Maybe I forgot to take my water. Maybe I dropped water in the floor. Maybe the water is in my backpack. So I check everywhere, water not was there. And then I said, okay, let's ask the lady, the cashier, if she sold me a water. She said, yes, I sold you water. And then I said, okay, where is my water? Just gone. It never show up. So I bought another water bottle.
Yeah, I think like Grant Cameron says, he talks about high strangeness, and what does he say? Oh, my brain's starting to get a bit fried. They do those things so you take notice. And usually it's with humor. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
funny
of
thing, but
course,
it's
yeah,
like teasing you.
yeah. But
Yeah.
actually, who are they? Who did that?
Yeah, well, there you go. I don't know. I don't know.
Another
They're every.
another situation. I was with my car with a
Yeah.
passenger in the right side of me on the front seat, and we waiting for green light to go, and we talking about life and everything, and then I heard two two males laughing in my back seat, and there's not no one was in my back seat. And this person who was next to me, he said, "Who is laughing in your car?"
Oh, so he heard it too.
He heard that too, yeah.
Wow,
And
that's
I
pretty
said,
cool.
"Wow, I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one who."
Yeah, it's always good if somebody else is experiencing the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. And that was probably for 2 or 3 weeks. Periodically, this stuff happening with me. Now, not anymore. Maybe they give me a break, I believe.
Well, I find that, yeah, I find big gaps. There'll be big gaps, nothing will happen. And then when it does happen, it happens a lot all at once. And then there'll be another big gap. That's for me too, yeah.
Mhm.
We used to find Christmas cards in between the linen, the towels in the linen. We'd find documents and cards and things that had been packed in a suitcase, 3 suitcases high on top of a wardrobe that had been there for years, and all of a sudden they'd appear in between the towels. So we'd have really funny things happen. My mother would feed the cat, and the cat would come out and complain. And nobody in the house was doing this. We weren't silly. We'd go back. She'd go back into where she fed the cat, and there'd be a pair of shoes on top of the cat food, so the cat couldn't get the food. Silly, funny prankster things like that. And amongst a lot of other things.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to have another meeting. I mean, not that is not will be the only one. We're going to meet in the future again, and I hope that I'll be able to come to Australia to meet you one day.
That'd be lovely. We have somewhere for you to stay. We've got a nice little pool house with its own kitchen, own bedroom and shower.
Yeah.
So you can stay in the pool house.
Yeah, thank you. So what, conclusion, what we can say to Bulgarian audience and to everybody who is watching that video in YouTube? What you can say to the audience?
Oh, wow. Look, I'm not an expert on anything. I've only learned from my own experience, but I have learned from my own experience. And the biggest thing you can do is just have an open mind and allow the information to come in on all sorts of levels without judgment. And my biggest thing I say to most people, don't put the lid on the box. Keep the lid off the box, because you never stop experiencing, you never stop learning. As soon as you make up your mind that you've got something worked out, that's when the information stops coming in. So I think you just need to be open and stay that way to allow it to develop that way.
To believe that everything is possible.
To believe that anything's possible. I've witnessed it myself. These children just blow me away with their abilities to do this work that I'm doing with them. Yeah.
Well, I was very happy to have you, and yeah, that's not going to be the last meeting, but we learn a lot from you. Yeah, and thank you very much for your time.
Well, thanks for having me.